Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. I want to talk about something that not a lot of people talk about it when they're going after their goals is the worry and the fear that comes up with our goals. You have a goal, you've set out to go down a path, you know what choices to take, and then the anxiety comes in, and then the worry comes in, and then the feelings of, well, if this doesn't work out, or if they say something, this will happen, or I better make this work or else. What do you do when this comes in? What is your response to this? Do you go into emergency management mode, trying to fix things, trying to make sure that you don't experience pain or what happens? Or do you embrace the worry and say, okay, why am I worried? What's the truth? What is the belief here? I want to talk to you about worry. Your worry, when it applies to your business, your goals, whether it's your health, your relationship, whatever, with money, always has to do with a belief that is tied to the worry. There is a belief in your mind based on past experiences, based on what happened last time, based on what you believe is going to happen, that is creating the worry, or what you believe will happen if things don't work out. And so you are allowing that belief to create that worry and anxiety. And you need to start to have an inner dialogue with yourself and say, okay, what's the truth? Start to listen to yourself. Stop stuffing your worry. Stop stuffing your anxiety and feelings and ignoring that they exist. That is the worst possible thing that you could do. Instead, say, okay, why do I feel this way? What's the truth? Why do I worry that if this doesn't work out, that things are going to hurt me? Why do I worry that if they say something about me that I'm going to get hurt? And oftentimes we can say, well, because this is going to happen. Well, why am I worried about that? And we dive deeper into the why to find the root cause. What made me believe that? Why do I think that that's going to happen? What's the truth? And start to walk yourself down a path of what the truth is anytime that you are worried about your goal. And one of the first things to do is to have self-care, to care for yourself, to love yourself, to take care of yourself. When you are worried about something happening, not working out, maybe you're not going to hit a certain level of a goal, maybe you're not going to reach a certain plateau or a certain place where you're trying to get to. Maybe last time things didn't work out and they failed, and now you had to work 10 times harder to get back to where you are, and we're worried about that happening. What's the truth? And what does God say about it? Start to have that inner dialogue with yourself. Oftentimes it can be, well, I'm worried that this is going to happen, so I have to control that. Well, what's the truth? If that does happen, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And that's a hard question to ask, but please do it. What's the worst that could happen? Well, this could. Well, why do you think that's going to happen? Well, this. And then oftentimes we find a lie. That's why I'm saying ask yourself that. What's the worst that could happen? Well, what's the truth? And you'll identify the lie. You need to come face to face with the lie that you are believing that is causing the worry, to then replace it with the truth. And that truth is a form of self-care and love, loving yourself. Listen, I'm not talking about selfish, like self-love, quote unquote. Like, man, people mix this up. They over-religiousize these words even sometimes. And they shut their brains off when they hear the word self-love or love yourself, because they believe that now I'm talking about whatever viewpoint or political whatever they think I mean by that. You need to actually care about how you feel and help soothe yourself when you're feeling anxiety, and then say, God, I need you to help point me to the truth in this moment. Listen, hating yourself is not noble, is not helping you. Loving yourself and taking care of yourself and loving what God created in you and the plans that he has for you is a form of worship to God, because you're not saying, God, you made mistakes and you suck. When we hate ourselves, we are actually telling God that he did a terrible job with us, basically. So instead, focus on, okay, what's the truth? Focus on what's the next step. Focus on what is the lie that I'm believing. Have that inner dialogue with yourself. Next time you're worried about something not working out, and then say, okay, what can I do now? What can't I control? And give up the things that you can't control and stop trying to control the things that you can't control. And start to trust the process, putting one foot in front of the other. And start to ask yourself with this inner dialogue, okay, why am I worried? What am I worried is going to happen? Well, why is that? Well, what's the worst that could happen? Well, why do I think that's going to happen? That's usually the breaking point. Why do I think that's going to happen? Okay, now that's usually where the lie is. Okay, well, is that true? Well, no, or maybe. Maybe if it's maybe, then you're like, okay, well, why do I think that's going to happen? You keep digging deeper, and then you finally find that lie, replace it with the truth, and realize, you know what? Man, I overworked this in my head. And when we do this, when we overwork these thoughts in our head, these beliefs of what could happen, we come up with a framework in our life that locks us into worry, fear, anxiety, stress as a way of coping. Instead of trusting the process, instead of hoping, instead of going from victory to victory, not going from failure to victory, not needing to try to fix everything that's going on around us, but having hope for the future and realize, you know what, whatever happens right now in this moment is the best thing that could happen. And I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust that I'm on the right path. And I'm going to ask God for direction, where my footsteps should go. What is the truth? God, please tell me that. And if you're having a hard time hearing that, that's because the reason oftentimes we have a hard time hearing the truth of what God believes about a situation is because we're clouded by our inner dialogue, our inner fear, our inner worry. And so that's why we have to kind of almost calm that down a little bit, bring that down, and then we can actually start to hear God. He doesn't always have to yell at us, my friends. Man, sometimes people think, well, the only time I hear God is when he yells at me. Well, that's because your inner dialogue is so loud all the time that he has to yell to even get your attention. So that's why just kind of diving in, this self-love, this self-care actually is a form of worship, because then you can quiet that inner self that's so worried and say, okay, God, now I'm ready to hear what's the truth that you have to say about me. And it works. It really does. So try this next time you're worried about your goals. Dive deep. Why am I worried? Okay, well, what's the risk in this? Well, okay, why do I think that's going to happen? Well, what's the truth? And start to replace any lies that you're believing with the truth, and spend some time in prayer and say, God, show me what the truth is in my life. Show me what the truth is for this next step. And then trust the process and trust him that all of his ways are good, that he will not lead you to destruction. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon.